Welcome back to another episode of our Kings related podcast, wherever you may be. And in a game where the Kings led for most of this second half, and in a game where they let that lead slip away as the Indiana Pacers made their run and winning by a final score of 111 to 109. And this game tonight against the Indiana Pacers does not encapsulate the season of the Sacramento Kings. I don't know what does. Because the Kings, after falling behind early in this game by 10 in the first quarter, Doug Christie calls a timeout, and I thought the response out of that TO was really good. You had a Sabonis, just a throwdown dunk. You had Keon Ellis, who stripped, I believe it was Halliburton, and then that led to a Keegan Murray dunk. But the Kings, they led for most of that second half. They were in control, I would say, maybe 3 quarters, and then it was that fourth quarter, well, in the final 2 minutes, it was poor execution down the stretch by the Kings that slipped this game away to even up this road trip, 6-game road trip. But instead, you are 0-2, and it was it was under 2 minutes, and I believe it was around before the 1 minute mark of this game. You had Tyrese Halliburton, who hit a big-time 3 that put Indiana ahead by 2. And then the Pacers, they forced the Kings into a 24-second violation. And then you had a Siakam 3 followed that. And just like that, this ball game was over. And if you look at that fourth quarter, I know would say that the Kings scored 23 points in that fourth, but in reality, the Kings only scored 12 points in that fourth. And you got the Indiana Pacers, who got 30. That is the ball game. It ended up being 30-23 Indiana in that fourth. That is the ball game. I believe the Kings were 1 of 4 from 3 in that fourth, and can't do that. But in a span of a minute, you had a game's worth of effort, and fight was complete meaningless. And you had the Halliburton look from 3, and then the Siakam. Those were clutch shots by Indiana. And the Sacramento Kings down the stretch, not many clutch shots. And those are 2 All-Stars in the that the Pacers have, and we have talked about it all season long. The bugaboo of the Sacramento Kings is their three-point defense. It is absolutely terrible, and guarding the 3-point line, that has been a struggle for this team all damn season. But to give up 2 great looks to 2 All-Stars late in that game, close game. It's unacceptable, inexcusable, just cannot happen. You got to be more disciplined. You got to be better. But not all surprising, knowing the Kings' 3-point defense has been that way all season long. And, while the Kings actually shot better from beyond New York, at 44%, you had Indiana who shot 34%. Like, the Kings were once again outscored beyond the arc due to the low volume. So, and then the Kings, they only took 27 3-point attempts compared to Indiana's 41. So, and then you had DeMar DeRozan, who led the game, 31 points. It was a Pacers well balanced approach, and the bench scoring was absolutely one sided in favor of the Indiana Pacers. The Kings did not get much scoring from their bench tonight. Malik Monk coming off the bench, he was 2 of 14 from the field. Just an awful night by Malik Monk, but he did have 7 assists in this game. But the problem with Malik Monk in this game, 5 turnovers by Malik Monk. Neglected those 7 assists. Just awful by Malik Monk in this game. But if you look at the Sacramento Kings, the Sacramento Kings are at their best when they play defense and when they move the basketball. And you saw it late in that fourth quarter, not a lot of ball movement in that game, which led to that bad execution down the stretch. And with the assist number being that great barometer for the Kings' performance, the Kings only had 22 assists. For this Kings team to win and to be successful, they gotta have at least 30 assists every game. Because when they do, when the Kings are moving that basketball and they have at least 30 assists in a game, they usually win. But not a great night. Sabonis, he came out strong tonight. He finished with a double-double, 25 points, 16 rebounds. He also finished the night with 0. A little goose egg in that column by the assists. You would like to see more from Sabonis in that category in the assists. And Sabonis is one of the best passing big men in the NBA, but it feels like his passing skills are being, I don't want to phrase this wrong. It feels lately that his passing skills are not being utilized correctly, and ever since the coaching change, I think especially since the trade deadline, I don't think they've used Sabonis like they've had in the past with this current roster that the Kings have. So not a great night for the Kings. If you want to look at Zach LaVine, I thought Zach LaVine had an okay night, 20 points. He had 5 rebounds in this game. He was 4 of 8 from 3. But the thing about Zach LaVine, 4 turnovers in this game. Not great from Zach. Keegan Murray, I thought Keegan had a solid night. 2 blocks. He had 1 block on Halliburton in this game. He had 7 rebounds, 12 points. He was 5 of 11 from the field. A quiet night for Keon Ellis, who got the start once again. 9 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds for Keon Ellis. And again, the bench tonight, you had Monk, Trey Lyles, JV, and Fultz off the bench. Not much scoring off the Kings bench. And if you look at the Indiana Pacers, they have been playing incredibly well since January 1st. The Indiana Pacers have the 4th best record in the NBA. They are 10th in defensive rating in that span since January 1st. This is when, and also offensively, top 10 in offensive rating as well. They're playing incredibly well basketball here as they go in to the playoffs and we end this regular season. But I thought the Kings did an okay job tonight. I thought they did a fine job on Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese, 7 of 13 from the field, just 18 points. He had 11 assists in this game, but the 1 bucket, it's out 1-3 late in that 4th quarter. Just cannot happen. Inexcusable. You had Aaron Nesmith, 24 points for the Pacers, 6 rebounds, 7 of 16 from the field. You had Siakam, again, 11 points in this game, but the one bucket from Siakam, the clutch 3 late in that 4th quarter. Again, just like Tyrese, just cannot happen if you're the Sacramento Kings. Off the bench, you had Toppin with 19, Walker with 15. And I thought they took care of the ball. Fine, 11 turnovers in this game. They had 1 turnover after the first quarter. At halftime, they had 5 turnovers overall, so they had 4 turnovers in that second quarter. But the fast break points at the half, 14-6 in favor of the Indiana Pacers. And in this game, the Pacers, 19 fast break points. The Kings, 8 fast break points. The Kings, they were +5 in the rebounding total, 45-40. Both teams shot kind of similarly from the field, 46%. But it is the late game execution by this Kings team that once again does them in, because they played well enough to win this game. I want to say from that second quarter on, but it was the final 2 minutes of that 4th quarter that did them in, and the Pacers went on their run to seal this victory for themselves. And now the Kings are 0-2 on this road trip. And you got 2 must-wins coming up. Wednesday in Washington. And then after that, you got the Charlotte Hornets. And with this loss, the Kings are now 36-39 on the season, 10th in that play-in, and if we want to talk about the West, that play-in situation, the Phoenix Suns, who are behind you in 11th, Kevin Durant is out for at least a week after the ankle injury he sustained in their game yesterday on Sunday against the Houston Rockets. So basically, Kevin Durant's probably done for the rest of the season. And the Suns, they began an East Coast trip, and Durant didn't even make the trip with the rest of his Suns teammates. So, and then you look at the Kings again. You got still left on this trip Washington, Charlotte, and then in this trip you got a back-to-back in Cleveland and in Detroit. Not an easy way to close out this road trip, but you gotta win these next two games. Those are must wins if you're the Sacramento Kings. You can't be losing to teams like Washington and the Charlotte Hornets. So Kings fall. They let another game slip away, which encapsulates their season that they have had this year, as they lose by 2 and they fall to 36 and 39 on the season, and are back in action Wednesday in our nation's capital, taking on the Washington Wizards. But thanks for tuning in to this post-game recap of the Kings and the Pacers. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below in the YouTube comments. And if you're listening on your preferred audio platform, please hit that follow button, rate 5 stars, leave a nice little review. That'd be much appreciated. And we'll see you Wednesday night following Kings and Wizards for another post-game recap. Hopefully it's after a win, because if they don't win, just end the season. And if they don't win, just end the season, because they don't deserve to be in the play-in. So we'll be back Wednesday following Kings and Wizards. And as always, go Kings.